Hey everyone, and welcome to the Artisans, the Makers, and Me. I'm Beth Scalacci from VillageWorks Communication, and today I'm really excited to introduce you to my friend Jenn Marshall of Solitude Soapworks. Jenn, tell us a little bit to get started about your company and your products and that beautiful location you're in.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Hi, everybody, and thank you, Beth, so much for having me. My name is Jenn Marshall. I am the founder of Solitude Soapworks. We are located in the beautiful Adirondacks High Peak region of northern New York State. I live on a 46-acre hobby farm, and I'm surrounded by God's work is the only way I can describe it. We live in a very rural area up in the Adirondacks, which is it's a 6 million acre park. It's a state park. It's actually larger than all the national parks combined,
Wow.
such as Yellowstone and Yosemite, et cetera, et cetera. We're currently just past peak leaf color. I said our trees started turning in mid-August. And, the crazy rain we had here the other day knocked most of it out along with all the crazy winds. So I do apologize. You have some bare trees in the background, but they were very pretty.
That's all right. We'll let this one, we'll let it slide this time, but
We'll have to do it again next
to
time,
do it
maybe
earlier in
maybe
the
a week
year.
earlier.
We could definitely do that. And tell me a bit about the products that you make.
I make goat's milk artisan soaps. I have a friend of mine who she's got another farm. She actually raises therapy donkeys, and she's got a boatload of goats. So I finally got a line on fresh raw goat's milk, which makes a world of difference in my soaps. And most goat's milk soap, when you see them, it's kind of just a plain blob brown. All of mine are artisan. They're colored, they're highly fragranced, they're designed. It's almost like you have a piece of art you can put in your bathroom that's going to smell nice. You keep telling people, but it's too pretty to use. I said, but if you use it, that means I can make more.
Right.
And it's good for your skin. So I make soaps, I make body products, I make emulsified sugar scrubs, I make whipped body butters, and sort of some home products. I've been dabbling in reed diffusers,
Nice.
and I just started introducing candles to my product line. So they should hopefully be ready in time for the holidays.
Very cool. Now, you have goat's milk available to you, but how does that make a different kind of soap? Like, is that a more
I just
rich,
find that goat's milk
moisturizing?
soap makes a more moisturizing,
Okay.
creamy bar of soap. It's washing yourself with a bar of Dove is washing with detergents. When you wash with handmade soap, it's real soap. You're taking fats and oils. You're adding sodium hydroxide to it, and the saponification process takes that base and that alkali, and it turns it into a soap. It's a salt.
Okay.
So it's an interesting process that I am still learning about. I don't have a background in chemistry, although my dad probably got me started. He wanted to be a chemist, but
Oh,
didn't
okay.
quite have the wherewithal to pass.
Ooh. I think you muted yourself.
There you go. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
My stuff moving around. It's soap making is always an interesting process because you never know what you're going to get.
Right. And I understand it's actually your husband that's to quote unquote blame for getting you into
Yes,
soap
yes, he
making.
is. He is. Several years ago, he bugs me incessantly. He said, "Where's your Christmas list? Where's your Christmas list?" And he always makes sure that I've got something on my Amazon wish list to choose from for Christmas because he doesn't like shopping for me. He says, you're a pain in the butt to shop for. I said, all right. So this, this particular year, I had things that I enjoy. I'm a practicing yogi of 10 years. I love yoga and I love to cook. And one of the things that I had up on my wish list was it was a Vietnamese cookbook from the people that own a San Francisco restaurant called the Slanted Door. And I had eaten dinner there back in 1988. I was like, I want this book. So he comes to me and he said, your Christmas list sucks. It's boring. I'm like, you have boring hobbies. I'm like, okay. So let me see what I can put on there that I know he'll never buy for me in 1,000,003 years. So I had purchased a year or two before this avocado butter from the company called Brambleberry for another project that I had been working on. So I'm surfing, I'm internet surfing. Let me see what I can find that I know he's never going to look at. And they had a beginning soap making kit. I'm like, well, that sounds interesting. Let's try it. So I put it on my wish list and I never looked at it again. Never, it's, in one ear, out the other and forgotten. Christmas morning, I open up my Christmas gift and there's a box from Brambleberry with the beginning soap making kit. I'm like, oh my God, he actually went and did it. So we travel in between Christmas and New Year's. We go up to Ontario to go visit my in-laws and my husband's family. So when we came back right after New Year's, I sat down. I said, all right, let me see how this works. Well, if you talk to any soap maker, they're going to say it only takes one time, one batch, and you're hooked. It's probably worse than heroin. It ensnares you and it pulls you in and you can't get out. So that's where it all started. I look at him and he comes downstairs and, he'll look at my studio and he'll shake his head. He says, you know how much Lego I could have bought for what you have it tied into this? I said, yeah, but Lego doesn't make you money.
Right. And he
I do.
He could have just bought you the cookbook.
He could have.
Did you get the cookbook?
No, I'm still waiting for it. It's still on my wish list. One of these days I'll just say the heck with it and buy it myself.
Just buy it yourself. There you go. Now you'll have to be interested in what you put on that wish list this year. So.
Oh, well, I'm sure I can come up with a few things. He's been very good for me, though. If he's looking for something specific. I mean, he's bought me molds for Christmas, which are great because wooden soap molds are not cheap.
Right.
So it's nice when he supports what I do.
Very nice.
I'm very grateful to him for that.
See, I always love the background stories, and when you can blame a husband in the process for it, that's even even better. So what is is there a story or a meaning behind your business name of Solitude Soapworks?
Yes, there is. My family's love of the North Country of New York goes back to the early 1960s. My dad went to school up here in Potsdam, and he spent a lot of time in Tupper Lake, here in Lake Placid, while he was in school. And then right before he graduated, before my parents got married, he brought my mom up here. And my mother fell in love with this particular area of New York. And she asked him, I think this goes back to 1965, do you think we could live here someday? And he said, he kind of shrugged his shoulders and said, we'll see what happens. We had the opportunity to, we actually bought a fractional ownership in Lake Placid in 2004. It gave us the opportunity to come up once every 6 weeks. And we did that for several years. And it got to the point where my parents wanted to be up here a little bit more frequently than that. So they started looking for a home, and they eventually found one in the town of Keene, which gave my father everything he wanted, which was privacy. Like there's no privacy. We have no neighbors for a mile and a half, and I'm If you look that way, I'm backed up by 26,000 acres of forever wild state land.
Okay.
So we're very desolate, we're very private, very isolated. When they bought the house, they named the property Solitude Acres.
Oh, okay.
The people they bought it from originally had the property named as Rainbow Meadows because we have it's a very unique area that when there's storms coming in, you'll see rainbows bouncing all over my front
Oh,
meadow.
wow.
If you go on my website or even on my Facebook page, if there's a good one, we'll post pictures of it because they're spectacular.
Hmm.
But when my folks bought the place, we would come. This was now my vacation destination. I was still living downstate on Long Island, and it was a place for me to come up and decompress, disconnect, and just veg and just try to regroup. I'm like, this is God country. I said, I just left the rat race. I don't want to go back to the rat race.
Right.
So when I named the company Solitude Soapworks, I named it for what my property, for what this place is to me. And it is a place of solitude where it's peace, it's quiet, and you can kind of just de-stress. And that's the basis behind me and my stuff. So I hope I wasn't too long-winded with that answer.
No, no. I mean, I think that's, so many business owners, and people just look at it as, oh, they name their company or they name their products, and the stories behind them are much, much more in depth than, looking to see what domain names available kind of thing. So
Well, I said,
I always like to hear what those are.
if you can see it without
Mhm.
the sun shining too well, it is actually the tree that's on my logo. It's part of my
Oh,
logo.
okay, right.
So my logo, when we put it together with Solitude, we call it the Solitude apple tree. And there is an apple tree that's a little further down the property that this is kind of stylized after.
Oh, cool.
So it's just it's me trying to share a little bit of this place with the rest of the world, because you know what, every time in this day and age, everybody needs a way to distress
Yes.
and to just kind of get away from things for a while.
Yes,
And
exactly. I'm glad you're doing your part to help that.
do what I can.
So I know I've seen pictures that you acquired a still recently, right?
I
And
did. Once again, I'm going to go back to my dad because he's not to blame for this, but he kind of got the interest going at a very young age. I remember as a child, he and friends of his set up a still in the garage, and I don't know, I'm not entirely sure what they were distilling. It may have been Everclear, grain alcohol, mash. I don't know. I was too young, but the whole setup fascinated me. And it's a kind of something that's always sat in the back of my head. And I was perusing a website one day looking for soaping supplies, and they had hand coppered stills for sale. And I'm like, and I'm kind of looking around the property going, well, I'm surrounded by so many conifers.
Right.
I could do stuff with this. We've got organic gardens that we have here on the property that I can do stuff with. So I decided to purchase. It's a very small still. It's a 5-liter still, so I'm not going to get a lot from it. But my intention is to distill hydrosols. And hydrosols can be used for a number of things. I know people use them as room sprays. They use them as facial toners, or just like just a nice, calming facial spray or a
Okay.
mist. There are some people that use hydrosols in lotions,
Okay.
those types of body products. If you have anything that requires a water base to it, that's my intention. I booted up once this summer. It I got about a pint of balsam hydrosol, which was awesome. but I need to, I have to finagle my setup. So I have not had the opportunity to get it going again.
Okay.
But I would very much like to, because I've got a ton of plant matter, all of my organic calendula. Forgive me, I'm getting dive bombed by, wasps. Um, I have organic calendula growing. I've got lemon balm and lemon verbena and
Mm,
lemongrass all down. We have a commercial greenhouse on the property, so even though we're coming into mid-October, I still have stuff growing. So it can all be harvested and dried and distilled at a later point in time.
nice. Yeah, that stuff all fascinates me. It's things that I wouldn't take on trying to figure out. So I just come to you guys and find out.
I'm still learning too. Let me tell you something. There's a book out there that I desperately want to get my hands on that is out of print. I'm waiting for the author to come out with the second edition. I found one copy of it on Amazon and they wanted like $1,300 for it. I said, you got to be out of your flipping
Mm,
mind. Like,
yeah,
no, I'll
that
wait.
can't even put that on the wish list. That's
Nah,
too
nah,
much.
nah,
No,
no.
that's not going to work.
So,
Very nice. So just to switch gears a little bit,
sure.
because of the solitude and where you live and stuff, it makes me think about like if you had the a day off and you could create your perfect day off, what would that look like?
My perfect day off. I haven't had a day off in,
Right.
I don't know, 15 years.
Phew.
Um, a little background. I have a full-time day job. I'm an executive in in the electronics manufacturing sector. That has been my job for 18 years. So I get up in the morning, I roll into my office. I am very, very, very lucky that I can work from home. Um, which has been a godsend, that actually allowed me to move up here and move up to Keene, but that's another story for another time. Probably my perfect day off would be something without this,
Right.
where I could take that and lock it in a box and forget about it. Um, I would love to just take a long walk in the woods, take a hike, go climb a mountain, get to the summit, and just feel very humbled and very small compared to the grandness that's around me. I love being outdoors. I love being out in nature. Most seasons, for the exception of spring, because up here it's just nothing but mud and cold.
Okay.
Um, that would be my perfect day off. Maybe with
Okay.
a book. Let me set myself up in a place that's not my house, where I don't have somebody go, Mom, Mom, Mom,
Right.
Jen, I need you. Leave me alone. I need a little bit of peace and quiet.
I know. You need that solitude.
I do need the solitude sometimes. When we moved up here to Keene, we moved in with my mom and dad. So we live in a multi-generational household. So my parents are baby boomers. I'm considered Gen X, and I'm not entirely sure what my son is. He was born in 2007. So he's, past the millennials. I'm not quite sure where he fits in the grand
Oh
scheme
yeah,
of things.
he's with mine, the Gen
So
Z, the Zoomers, as I
yeah,
call them.
something like
Yep.
that. So it's interesting when you have all five of us in the house at once. There are just some days you're like, I need to take a ride. I got to take a walk. Let me go. I'll see you later.
Well,
So
that's where the new soap studio comes in, right?
that is exactly where the new soap studio comes in, because they can't get there unless they walk through my front door.
There you go.
So no more of, downstairs doing Facebook lives going, hey, Jen, by the way, bah, bah, bah. I'm like, gotta go, guys. I'll be back. There's no way to pause it.
You need a little on-air sign for the
That
door.
would be good. Well, it's kind of hard to do when I have to share the basement with the rest of the family.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Especially with everyone being home now, it's like,
yes,
oh, no
you know,
quiet time. Thanks, guys.
no, I said, I'm pretty good. Says my son's pretty good though with, their school. He's doing a hybrid learning. So he's in school 2 days a week and he's distance learning 3 days. And when he's distance learning, he's in his own room, and he's online with all of his classes from 8 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's it's been fun.
oh yes.
Which leads me to the product that I saw recently that we all need, I think, is you have a meditation
A
candle.
meditation candle.
And tell me about that.
Um, I had a friend of mine ask me over the summer. She said, "Do you make candles?" I said, "No, but I've been kind of, I've been kind of throwing the idea around, seeing if it's something that I want to do." And there seems to be enough interest in my regular products that, like, let me see if I can throw some of these out there. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and I'm okay with that. So, as I said, I'm a 10-year practicing yogi. And one of the things that I was given by my yoga teacher before I moved was a beautiful sandalwood and amber candle. And every time I practice, I burn that candle. Well, that candle is now completely burned out. It's gone. And I needed something to replace it. And I didn't want to buy something, like, I have everything that I need to make
Right.
one. So let me see what I can do. I bought a beautiful fragrance from a company out in California to use for it. It's called Yuzu Blossoms and Hinoki. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's calming, it's peaceful. And when I poured the candle, as all the wax was setting up, I also collect crystals.
Okay.
And I have been collecting crystals since I'm a teenager.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I've been collecting them for a very long time. And I just went into my collection and just to kind of intuitively grabbed, well, maybe a little of this and a little of that. It's, not putting any thought into what I was placing, but just simply going by what felt right at the time.
Okay.
So when I make them, I made it with a wooden wick. So it actually crackles. It's
Right.
not just a regular cotton wick. And I find it's mesmerizing to watch a flame burn.
Mm-hmm.
And this, if I can, I have a little meditation altar next to my bed. I have a Himalayan salt lamp that that I use every single day. I have a labradorite plate that I charge things on. I have selenite, and I have some other things. And I can put it there, and even if it just takes me 2 minutes to sit and watch and breathe and just reconnect with my breath,
Mm-hmm.
it helps bring my stress levels down, and I feel more at peace. So that was my intention behind the meditation candles, and there seems to be some interest in them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And I know nothing about crystals. So, like, do you use them sort of like aromatherapy where it helps with feelings or senses or
there are certain crystals. I mean, there'll be people that'll probably poo-poo it and say, it's all, new age, hokey pokey crap.
sure.
I fully believe that different crystals, different gemstones, they all have a vibration. They all have a
Okay.
different vibration. Certain crystals, I'll pick them up and I'm like, I need to back away from this for whatever reason. And then there's others where I could put it in my hand and just roll it through my palms and say, it's the feeling, it goes from your head down to your toes.
Hmm.
It's like somebody has just dipped you into a vat of peace.
Oh, okay.
Um, they say there are certain crystals that are good for certain chakras. My favorite crystal in the world is a crystal called labradorite.
Hmm.
Labradorite, I use it in some of my soaps.
Okay.
I'll top some, my wintertide soap that I made for the holidays has a labradorite stone that's on it. It's a stone of intuition. It's a stone that goes to the third eye chakra. It's good for dispelling negative energies and kind of keeping the energy vampires away, so to
Ooh,
speak.
we could use that, right?
Everybody can use some of those. I know too many energy vampires. I'm like, there's no room for you in my life. Said I need peace and quiet. So that's that's where I'm at. I'm always collecting. I'm always looking for interesting things. My Labradorite, we did a float down the Osable River over the summer with friends of mine, some of my son's friends. And my last trip out, I came out with 50 pounds of Labradorite rocks in my belly as we're floating down the river that, was, barely knee deep.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's something that I can find here, here in the mountains, here in the peaks. You just got to know what to look for.
Yeah, that's
It's a very
amazing.
unassuming rock, but if you
Hmm.
catch it in just the right light, it has something called flash,
Oh, okay.
and it'll flash blue and golds and
Wow.
greens. And I had somebody that I know recently found stuff that flashes pink, which I've never seen.
Hmm.
So
That's fascinating.
I love my gems, I love my crystals, and I'm always collecting. So if I
That's
can partake some of that with somebody that might appreciate it, that's, makes me a happy girl.
absolutely. I love that. So that brings me to, and I ask everyone this question, and I feel bad doing it because it's like asking about like a favorite child, but do you have a favorite product? And it could change from time to time, but right now, what would be your favorite product and why?
I actually have two. My favorite products, I make a body oil
Okay.
that is, it's lightweight, it's fast absorbing, it seals in moisture. And I make a whipped shea body butter.
Mm,
I use an East African shea, which
okay.
is very different than most shea butters. I'll add a little bit of argan oil to it, or jojoba, or sometimes I'll kind of, if I need a little extra, a little extra oomph, I'll add some rosehip oil. I can change it up a ways.
Hmm,
We heat our home up here with wood stove
okay.
during the winter, and it is brutally torturous on skin. It dries your skin out in a heartbeat. It just sucks
Right.
all the moisture in the air up, all the moisture in your skin up. And ever since I started using both, and I use both right when I get out of the shower, I don't have dry, flaky skin. My cuticles don't crack and bleed during the winter time.
Nice.
It helps keep the calluses on feet down. I've got people that, I mean, I've got some friends of my mom's who use it and say their skin hasn't looked so good in a long time. And these are women in their 70s.
Right.
So those would be my two favorite products. I mean, my soap products I love,
Sure.
and they do change from time to time, based on fragrance, and let's see what little extras can I add to them. Most of my soaps, I don't think I told you this. We sugar our property in the spring, in the late winter, early spring. So I try to use a little bit of maple syrup in each of our
Oh,
products.
okay.
Um,
Very cool.
this this spring, I actually tried using birch sap,
Hmm.
and that was an interesting experiment. So, you know,
Was that good or bad?
it
Interesting.
was it was actually, it was really good. I wish I would have had more sap to
Oh, okay.
actually put in the freezers. So I mean, we live so far out of town, most of our freezers we have stocked up with food, because God forbid we can't get out
Right.
any place. We need to have food to feed, you know, five hungry mouths. So,
Exactly. How much snow do you guys get up there on average?
uh, it depends. Some years we'll have snow on the ground. It'll start snowing on Halloween.
Mhm.
You know, and then I remember one year it was super cold, October, November, and by December 24th it was 70 degrees outside, which is just bizarre.
Right.
I've got a picture of my son standing out on the back deck next to the big thermometer going, look at what it is. I'm like, this is not right. So
Yeah.
I we can have, you know, a foot, 2 feet on the ground. Sometimes we'll get, crazy storms in March that'll dump, 3.5 feet.
Right.
Uh, it's all kind of a crapshoot sometimes. It just depends. The most interesting thing is when we get snow. and there's no clouds. You'll look at the radar and going, there's nothing here, but you can't see 2 feet in front of your face.
That's
We
crazy.
actually, we get lake effect snows off of Lake Ontario,
Hmm.
even though we're on the eastern side of the state.
Oh,
It's just,
right.
it's really, really interesting, the weather patterns up here. I tell my dad, I said, we have our own microclimate.
You
It's
really,
never what you think it's going to be.
you really do. My husband's from the originally from the Rochester area, and
Okay.
like I joke all the time, like their lake effect snows, and I'm like, you guys are just the whole state is just its own like ecosystem and climate. Like it just it's crazy. And we'll talk to his parents, and they're like, oh, it was warm today. Oh, it snowed yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, it was driving me crazy. It's beautiful. I love it up there, but I don't know that I can do a winter up there.
Winters are, they take a little getting used to. They take a little getting used to, you know. I'm no stranger to winters up here. When my husband and I were first married, my husband is Canadian, so I actually immigrated to Canada,
Okay.
and I had just gotten my landed immigrant status 3 months before I was offered the job back in New York that I couldn't turn down. So we eventually moved back down to New York. But I mean, I spent a winter up in Ontario, man. It's cold. There were days where I'm like, what's the temperature, Dad? 40 below. Like, my car gonna start.
Uh,
I gotta go out, and it's just it's brutal.
Yeah.
But you learn to go with the flow. You dress
No,
for it, you learn to dress for it, you learn to put up with
exactly.
it, and
Can always put another blanket on.
absolutely. You just can't unzip the meat suit when it gets too hot.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, that brings me to my last question.
Mhm.
So when things are tough, not even with COVID or anything, but just in general with business or life or stuff, what motivates and inspires you to keep pushing through those tough times?
Oh, that's a Pandora's box of a question, Beth. Um, well, let's see. I mean, we've definitely had some very tough times. I said the last decade for us at my regular job has been very, very difficult. Where the electronics says the electronics sector is volatile
Hmm.
times, and with just things being the way they are, and there were some times where I'd go weeks without a paycheck, and I'm sitting there scratching my head going, how do we do this? How, and I just kind of keep looking, going, it's got to get better, because it can't get, I mean, where this is rock bottom. There's only one way out of here, and that's this way. It's going up. If it means I got to go downstairs and just kind of forget things, I'm like, let me go create something. Let me do something to get my mind off of things. That's what I've done. Um, I've got, my husband's support, my parents' support, my son's support. They're always my driving force to keep going, keep on going. I have and have had for the last 15 years. As I live with a rare disease that not too many people have heard of, and while I try not to allow it to define me, sometimes it does. Sometimes I have good days. Sometimes I have really crappy days. And it's just like, I got to push through it. I'm too stubborn to be kept down. That's just who I am. Like, I don't give up easy.
You can't, like as a business owner, you can't. I think
No.
that's the number one thing that every business owner is we're stubborn. Some people say it crazy, but I like to be positive and put we're just stubborn.
Yeah, stubborn works.
Yep.
I'm like, this, the last couple of weeks, I get up in the morning, and I'm having trouble with my disease. It's an endocrine disorder that has no it has no synthetic hormone replacement.
Oh.
So my treatment doesn't work. And it's the only treatment out there
Mm.
until the FDA, gives me back the medication they pulled off the market last year.
Oh.
Um, there's some days I don't want to get out of bed. There's some days getting out of bed is physically hard to do. It hurts to walk. And it's those days I'm like, okay, I got to get up, and I go downstairs and I look, I'm like, I know I've got creating to do. I just don't have it in me. And it's those days that I'm like, all right, let me just sit and veg and try to regroup. So, having something to look forward to with my shack over here has been helpful.
No, I know. We're gonna have to do another video to get the full tour when it's all up and running.
They fully anticipate allowing me to move in by Wednesday.
Nice. And then you'll get your
Um,
first, what's the first thing you're gonna make in there?
what is the first thing I'm going to make in there? Let's see. If I get my order of wooden wicks in, I will be pouring cranberry, clove, and cardamom candles
Mm,
for Thanksgiving. I
nice.
have uh, friends who they come in and I'm like, hey guys, I got new fragrances, smell. And I'll put them all up and everybody's got to sit there. I'm like, what do you think of this one? And that one, and that one. My mother's like, Jen, chill. I'm like, no, I'm excited.
Oh,
So, I mean, they take a look, they look and see this. Oh, you know what? I'll take 3 of those and I'll take 4 of these. And I'm like, okay, well, I went down to go pour candles last night and went, crap, I'm out of wicks. I don't have the right size wick. Crap. When are they coming?
uh,
Just making sure I ordered the right ones. And I'm like, all right, I got notification that, the shipping, UPS sent me shipping notification on Saturday. Well, it hasn't shipped yet. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, make it quick. At least it's coming from Pennsylvania, so it shouldn't be that terribly long.
that's good. Yeah, that shouldn't get too lost in the mail for too long.
I hope not, because the rest of it, I'm still waiting for stuff from September.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
That's probably the one most frustrating thing. And I think any maker of any kind of product will tell you the same thing. Just shipping and things being out of stock and the supply chain being disrupted have been a big, huge, giant pain in the butt.
yeah, and I don't know that, a lot of the buyers of your products know that. Like it's like you're trying to get stuff to everyone, and just be patient.
So that's exactly it. I do a lot of, I try to do a lot of Facebook lives. That's something that I started doing in the springtime, just as a way. I'm like, all of my craft shows for the summer were canceled,
Right,
and they started canceling everything in March. I'm like, okay, well, there goes that idea. And I've been putting together products and, stockpiling products so I would be ready for these shows. And now I'm like, I've got nothing.
yeah,
I need a way to connect. So I'm like, you know what? Let me get on camera. Let me do a Facebook Live. Hey guys, this is what we're doing. And they're a loyal bunch of folks that follow me. They'll come in and we had collaborations. I'm like, well, I'm making soap today. What should we make? This is what
right.
I have. And we did 3 different collaborations as
Cool.
Facebook Lives, and they were so much fun. They learned a lot. I had a blast, and it was a real interesting way for me to engage with the people that follow me, the customers that buy from me. This way they can kind of see the process,
Right.
and they asked very intelligent questions about, what am I doing? What does that do? What does this do? What is the end result? And it was an education for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
It's something I enjoy doing.
Yeah, it's the that's the nice side of social media. So it's nice that you can, I think everyone wants to feel connected even more so right now. So being able to have that is really cool that you were able to do that.
Yeah, and I've been I haven't been live as frequently in the last several weeks, for reasons that we spoke about before. I'm just like, there are just some days I'm like, it's tough to get out of bed, and the last thing I want to do is go live. I'm like, all right, maybe I should go downstairs and at least jump on for 5-10 minutes, and it's 10 o'clock at night. That's the final time I have free. I'm
Right.
like, okay, well, Here we go.
See if anyone's there.
That's exactly it. It is the one hard thing when you have a full-time job that takes most of your time, that I can't schedule certain lives to go on at certain times, because 9 times out of 10 that time slot's going to get pushed back for a variety of reasons. So
Exactly.
I'm known as being very spontaneous. I'll show up when I do, and surprise, here I am.
Well, that's good. Well,
So
I know your schedule is crazy, so I am very happy and thank you so much for scheduling the time today to get together and chat. And
oh, this has been awesome, Beth. Thank you so much.
sure. And everyone will look for you next episode. And thanks for watching.
Bye.